I'd say the first thing with X49, we know that it was designed to elevate the peptide AHKCU. And this is the daughter peptide from X39, or GHKCU. So when you look at the 40 or 50 years of research into GHK from X39, what we find is that there's research in wound healing, stem cell activity, cognition, energy metabolism, antioxidant activity, anti-inflammatory activity. So there is a wealth of information to draw on with GHK. With AHK, that was not really the case. And we had to formulate some concepts and hypothesis about how X49 might work in the body by looking at the biochemistry. So let me give you an idea about what I mean here so we can dig into some of the details. This is a website where they have different types of peptides for sale, and you can get AHK by injection. It's for experimental use. You can see that it's $200. So the patches are definitely a superior way, not only by price, but also effectiveness in terms of elevating your AHK. But we're going to see some things here, is that AHK has been studied really broadly for reduction in wrinkles and hair loss, meaning that most of the focus has looked at the cosmetic application of AHK. So this is exciting because even though we haven't really talked about it, we would expect people that are using X49 to experience a reduction in lines and wrinkles, and some people might even experience hair growth. Now, we don't make that claim. In fact, that's a medical claim. And if people were specifically interested in the benefit of hair growth, I'd recommend that they speak with their doctor and look into microneedling. I'd actually spoken with a hair loss specialist about this, and he recommended that people get microneedling if they're going to use X49. And I am getting to your question, by the way. I just wanted to form a background here. And as you can see, if you look it up, it's not going to be any secret. There are many, many studies that are focusing in on this peptide, on its use in hair growth. Even Dr. Lauren Picard, who was the discoverer of GHK and later AHK, had found that AHK is actually as effective as the drug minoxidil in regrowing hair under the right conditions. But again, that's not a claim we make because we haven't done the studies. So with that in mind, when we are looking at how can we build muscle, burn body fat, and do that with X49, there was not any existing literature that would have even indicated that this was possible. So this is where the biochemistry comes in, and we look at what the peptide is made of. It's 3 amino acid peptide. We look at alanine metabolism, and this would suggest that we would see effects in the muscle, the heart, and in the brain. And in our research, that's exactly what we found. So if we go back and we look at, this is from the presentation that I did at the November convention. I think we can just simply show this here, and I'm going to come back to this PowerPoint. What was so interesting about the body scans that we did in the study with people using X49 is that we did not put them on any type of special diet. Now, Emily, as you know, LifeWave never recommends a patch without the foundation, right? We definitely recommend that people get proper diet, proper exercise, proper rest, hydration, supplement where necessary. But in this study, we had the participants doing mild exercise, no special diet, and yet we saw that after a period of 2 months, their strength more than doubled, and there was, in fact, a reduction in body fat. These are mechanisms that we're still exploring, by the way, because it was, I would say the loss in body fat was an unexpected outcome. We had expected to see an increase in strength and stamina. We had expected to see an increase in muscle growth, but this dramatic of loss in body fat was something that we didn't expect. There's a couple of thoughts with this, right? So first you have to deal with the math of losing body fat, right? Because there's a lot of energy that is stored in body fat. And there's a couple ways of doing this. So the most common way is calorie deficit, and that was not the case in this study. So we didn't ask participants to reduce the amount of food that they were eating. There's an interesting phenomena with swimmers, right? There was an analysis done on Michael Phelps and other Olympic swimmers, and they were consuming massive amounts of calories, up to 10,000 calories per day. Wow. And we know that people that are training at that level are in a swimming pool 3-4 hours a day or even longer. But even that amount of exercise could not explain why the swimmers were losing and maintaining their weight. We would have expected them to have gained a lot of body fat. But what happened in this case was that the temperature of the water was below body temperature. The water was fairly cold. So in order for the body to keep warm, it had to burn extra calories to bring the body temperature up. And this is what accounted for the weight loss or not losing any weight in the face of an extraordinary amount of calories. So the body has a number of interesting mechanisms that are not altogether so obvious. So in other words, we would not attribute the loss in body fat to the amount of exercise they were doing. There was no calorie deficit. There could be an improvement in thyroid activity. That certainly would be not out of the question. So these are some things to investigate still, before we can really be definitive. But if I were to form a hypothesis at this point in time, I would say that we're seeing improved thyroid activity. With summer coming up and people wanting to reduce levels of body fat in the body, I would definitely encourage people to examine their diet. I know this is an old message, but it's true. We want to reduce the number of refined carbohydrates. We want to reduce refined sugar, get as much of that out of the diet as possible, get a low carbohydrate, balanced diet between proteins and healthy fats, and include as much exercise as possible during the week. And at convention, we're going to be going through this in quite a bit of detail. And even if someone is busy like us, they're working a lot, they're traveling a lot, you can definitely get in time for enough exercise to stay in shape. And we'll go through this in detail at convention.
So I know, David, with all of the research and all of the studies that have been done, a majority of those, if not all, are in our back office under the science section of our website as well, in the back office. Tell us, though, when it comes to X49 specifically, are there still any ongoing research studies, and has everything been published at this point on the website?
No, we haven't, as a matter of fact, and this was because of the pandemic. So the pandemic really had a dramatic negative effect on our ability to get research done. Some research labs had to completely shut down during the pandemic, and we weren't able to get things done. And then even now, many people, even after COVID has really passed, people are scared about coming into clinics for participating in clinical research. So this has really been a struggle for us. We have gotten blood data back on X49. We're doing the final statistics on that, but we did, of course, get statistical significance that X49 elevates AHK-CU. We have a study that we did with only men showing improvements in strength and stamina. We have a women's study I'm really excited about that's finished up, where we showed that X49 could increase bone density. I know we're still running statistics on that, but that looks really, really great. We have a pilot study that we've done on the use of X49 to reduce the impact of man-made radiation like 5G. We also have a cognition study that we've done that we're waiting to finish up. The clinic that's doing that just opened back up again. And that's going to look at what benefits people could experience with X49 in terms of overall health of the brain and cognition. So there's actually many studies that we funded with X49. None of them are posted in the back office yet, but we're hoping, this year to catch up now that the pandemic has passed us.
Well, I know that that's such a huge priority for you, David, is that we do have the science behind what we say. And so I know everyone will be excited when we get those additional studies posted. And just so everyone knows, we'll definitely let you know once those studies are on the website, and we'll let you know through our normal channels so you can reference all of them.